What's going on, guys, and happy new year. We are here. It is 2023 finally. Yeah, I know it's a little late, and well, thank you guys for watching this. If you're watching it at the drop of the new year, if you're waiting a little bit later into the day, happy new year. Hope you had fun, hope you were safe, and hope you're not feeling too bad today. Links down below if you would like to support the channel and wear some TSP merchandise, Team Set Pass merchandise. We have Thunder Dragon shirts, we have Cyber Dragon shirts, Unchained shirts, but BLS and Scapegoat shirts. What else? Shadal, and then just our standard Team Set Pass logo shirts. Working on more designs. Also, Facebook page, we got a couple playmats available with our new Cyber Dragon playmat. You can see it on the screen now. Going to be available pretty soon. It's not quite ready, but I'm working on it as quickly as we can. Today we're just going to kind of go through a whole bunch of Cyber Dragon stuff, from where the deck currently stands to viable variants, top players, top YouTube channels, pros and cons, strength weakness type deal, and future support cards that maybe would actually help push the deck into meta status. Without further ado, what is the status of this deck? Well, it's not that great right now, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it is not that great. However, I don't think it's ever truly unplayable. We have too much room for staple cards, too much room for hand traps, too much room for meta counters to truly be not viable. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna win frequently. I'm not saying you're gonna win more than you won't. It's an uphill battle. There's a handful of things that you need to go right. Luck, if you have a lucky day, you have a lucky day. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a day where you're just playing on point and you're not misplaying, you know, that's awesome. If you're a very good pilot, you will still see success with this deck. I'm going to shout out a few guys a little bit later. We got a giveaway later, so make sure you stick around for that part of the video as well. Like, share, comment down below, and subscribe, guys. Too many people are not subscribed who watch these videos, but yet I feel like some of you keep coming back and back and back. Just hit that button, hit that bell, and you won't have to search us out anymore. You will just know. Otherwise, you know, right now though, to say we're not in a great spot, I feel like isn't that detrimental or harsh, because it's borderline tier 0 still, so not many decks are that good. If you're not like Sprite, Tier Limit, or Flunder, your deck's not that great. I mean, there's the Draco Slayer Pendulum deck that is getting results. You know, you got Sword Soul, you got Branded, you have these other decks that do see success. Exorcister's another one, but realistically in the grand scheme, they're not seeing that much success. I will say they're much better than Cyber Dragon right now, but you know, it's a tier 0 format. That's just kind of comes with the territory. And going a little further, we have Kashtira, more support coming. That format looks like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Stick around, we'll do a breakdown on that coming up as well. But yeah, so Cyber Dragon, not in the best place, but again, if you take the time to learn the deck inside and out and really put in the effort and become a really solid player with the deck, I think that especially at the local level, you absolutely can go in and get your local top. You might be able to go undefeated. You might be able to go 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, however long your locals are. It's not unheard of. It's not impossible. It's just an uphill battle, and I think once you accept the fact that the deck isn't tier 1, tier 2, that the deck is a middle of the pack rogue deck, once you accept that and don't take it too hard if things don't go your way, I think the deck really starts to flow a little bit better, because you're not trying to overcompensate for things. Like, you just have to accept it and do the best that you can do and control what you can control. I've gone to locals before and regionals and had a losing record, but I know for a fact that I didn't misplay at all. I played perfectly and I did everything I absolutely could, and I was in every game. I just lost out slightly in the end. And I'm okay with that, because I accept that the deck isn't as strong as some of these other decks, and me as a player, I played flawlessly and did everything I could. It just wasn't enough. It wasn't in my luck for the day, and that just happens, especially when you're playing rogue deck, guys. So just don't take it too personal if you don't have a good day. I've seen elite players go and drop by round 4 of a regional because they lost 3 times already, or they lost twice even. Some people only go for that top 8. And you know, sometimes really good players lose a couple games early. It happens, and that's just all I can really say on that. I've been to regionals where I started 0-1-1 and I ended up finishing 6-2-1. So like, just try and clear your head. Every round's a new round. Like, just don't get hung up on it too hard. Personally, I like sticking it out and playing. Unless there's like a win-a-mat where I really like the play mat, I'll usually just keep playing with a losing record, because you can still learn stuff with the deck. You still learn interactions. You can still have fun, as long as, like I said, just don't take it too hard. What are some viable variants of this deck? First and foremost, I want to throw the Power Bond variant up on the screen a little here. You know, I think I'm not going to do deck profiles in this. If you want those, you're going to have to subscribe. But I really do think the Power Bond variants of the deck are the best fusion focused one. You know, it's better than Overload Fusion because it's non-searchable now. It's searchable like Cyberload Fusion, but I think it's better. It's more impactful. It's faster. It's more consistent. It can be fragile, but it takes less setup. It's just, everything about it is the best fusion that we have. So, like, I really do think like the Power Bond focused variants, not even necessarily focused, but playing the Power Bond package is going to see more popularity this year, and I think that there's a good reason behind it. I've been testing it a lot and really liking it. I'll have that deck profile up for you guys. I got a trophy tournament coming up this weekend, so I just don't want to drop too much information yet, because I know a few people from locals at least follow the channel, whether they watch the videos or not. I don't know, maybe. What about pure Cyber Dragon? And by pure, I'm talking going second, board break, kind of, not really control, but establish and just manage the game. Like, this isn't where you're focused on OTKing. It's, you might main deck cards like Evenly Matched, Dark Ruler No More, turn off their board, get rid of their board, set up like Infinity Hand Trap, maybe Overflow, or Infinity multiple hand traps, and you deal a bunch of damage to your opponent. You don't lethal them, but then you have those hand traps that negate, and you can stop your opponent, and then your following turn you finish them off. That type of Cyber Dragon strategy, I've always been a big fan of it. I do think that it is still one of the playable variants. These are all, like I said, if you're playing Cyber Dragon, you're probably going to play that, like Board Break Cyber Dragon, OTK Cyber Dragon, Trap Cyber Dragon. I do like where Trap Cyber Dragons is at, because when you play all those high impact traps, you should be in most games at least. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes you just won't be able to get your engine rolling. I understand. But the trap build is another one where I think the pros outweigh the cons, and it's probably one of the best 3 variants of the deck currently. Another one, branded fusion, or branded Cyber Dragon. It's, what do you want to say? Like, fusion summoning branded fusions in OTK on its own as well, because you can have the Albion and Rampage, which ends up being like 8,800, I believe, off the one card. You can, you know, it gives you some going first outlets and options. You can also search out Overflow off the Alba Letness by sending it from your Mirror Jade. So say you go first, you set up your Mirror Jade, you send the Alba Letness. Well, your next turn, you get to search out Overload Fusion. You can play an Overload Fusion and go first and stop your opponent, and you're going to search it out, and then you're probably going to win on your turn. So there's some good things going for the branded variants. Also other starters, and just a strong engine in general that does not mind being milled. A lot of their cards have graveyard effects. It's weird, I'm not staying up late to do this video. I actually woke up really early to do it because I got to get it recorded, edited, uploaded today. Otherwise, it's not New Year's, so it's New Year's Eve right now for me. Typically, my recording time is like between 9 and 9 and like midnight, and it's actually like 6 in the morning now on my day off, so that's what I get to do for you guys. But no, I don't mind it. I really wanted to work on this video. I've huge thing typed out on my phone, all kinds of details that I'll be going over as we keep going and talking. It's probably going to end up being like a 45-minute video, by the way, guys. I will timestamp everything down below, from viable variants, from the kind of intro part to the best top players to channels to follow to future support, all this stuff. I'll timestamp it down below so you can jump around or watch it multiple times. Arguably the best way to play Cyber Dragon right now isn't really a Cyber Dragon feeling way. Cyber Sprite, deck's explosive, deck's consistent, deck's really good. You play the important cards from Cyber Dragon and you kind of just have them as Core's a level 2 that can search a Reborn spell, so it's combo. It can also banish itself from the graveyard to summon a level 2 for follow-up, so it offers 1-card combo, it offers follow-up, it offers hand trap bait, and you can also use Mega Fleet. Especially if you open like starter, you can set it out in Appaloosa and then just starter and rattle off and pop off and probably win, whereas you wouldn't have been able to play through like a 3-negate Appaloosa before. So that's always really nice. Then you also can say Chimera Tech Fortress if your opponent is playing a machine deck. I wouldn't play Clockwork in here personally. It'd be like 3 emergency, 3 core, rev system, maybe overflow, and that's really honestly kind of it, because you don't need anything else for this direct variant. It's just you use Cyber Dragon as the level 2 normal summon engine of the deck instead of say like Nimble or Frogs, whereas you can still play the Frog engine too. So there's a lot of play and variants that you can do within Cyber Sprite. You can play it with a slightly bigger Cyber engine too and go for like infinity plays before Sprite. Absolutely, you absolutely can do that, and there's nothing wrong with it, because like Core Extender can get you to infinity Elf, then Elf bring back Cyber Dragon Core, overlay Core and Elf for your Gigantic, and then you can go into your Sprite plays that way. So I mean, realistically, you could do it just as easily a small Sprite engine. You could do like 3 starter, 3 blue, 2 jet. Okay, I said small. You could do 0 starter. You could do 1 blue, 1 jet, 1 red, 1 carrot, 1 smashers, 1 starter if you want for like the interruption on your opponent's turn. You can easily do that and just splash it in, because you can make Elf so easily, you can make Gigantic so easily. And then once you have Gigantic, you have blue, you have jet, you have carrot or red, which, you know, not a bad option at all. So you can play a very small Sprite package if you want. I mean, heck, you could just throw in like Elf, Gigantic, 1 smashers and 1 jet in the main deck, and you can just get to Gigantic and summon out your jet, grab your smashers for the banish. Like, you could do that, or you can grab the trap too. The trap is pretty good. So lots of different options, like I said, with the Sprite variant. Whether you want a small Cyber Dragon package, a small Sprite package, mix it up both in the middle, that's up to you on how you want to play it. But we're going to keep on rolling with this video. If you're planning on playing Cyber Dragon in 2023, you should probably know what some of the pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, things like that, if you will. We did just recently mention in a different part of the video, though. Remember, giveaway. If we hit 3,000 subscribers by March 9th, that is the channel's anniversary date, by the way. If we hit 3,000 subscribers by March 9th, it's a huge goal. We're not going to do it. That's not fair. That's too far. Right? No. I guarantee you guys, by March 9th, we will have at least 2,000 more views on videos than like from unsubscribed people. So I'm just saying, I'll put out the content and I'll try and get you guys to like it as good as I can. But I know there's going to be a lot of people who just seem to not want to hit that button, and I don't really understand why. But if we hit 3,000 views by the channel anniversary date of March 9th, we will give our Hail Sidra Field Center away. Hopefully you guys can see it nice and clear there. It is in our protective sleeve because metal's not strong enough apparently. It again, number 37 out of 100 from the limited run. And onto the strengths and weaknesses of Cyber Dragon. So obviously, what are some of the strengths? It OTKs. This deck is very strong and it packs a punch. Whether it's Core, Emergency, Cyberdark Claw, Cyberdark Realm, Cybernetic Horizon, all those cards, 1-card OTKs. We have a handful of 2-card OTKs as well. So this deck does OTK very, very well. Obviously, that is a very strong thing that we have going for it. I'm going to go right from strengths and weaknesses, by the way, right into a little small ruling section where some things that you should definitely know if you're playing the deck, because, well, you got to know your rulings. Contact Fusion, you know, it's an unofficial term, but Mega and Fortress are two huge advantages that the deck has as well, especially because Clockwork Knight came out making everything on the field machines. So you play Clockwork Knight and you just summon any Cyber Dragon as long as its name does not get negated. That is a free board wipe. You can set Cyber Dragon hers or core under, goes in under, there can be only one under, you know, different floodgates like that. And you can make a Mega Fleet still. While they're set, they're Cyber Dragon monsters. That's actually one of the ruling things I did want to mention, so put that away in your little black books. But yeah, being able to Mega Fleet your opponent, being able to Fortress your opponent are just some pretty big advantages. The deck likes to go second. In a going first format, it's nice when you can play a deck that's not 100% reliant on the deck roll, on the dice roll. So the fact that it likes to go second, and you have so much space for staple cards, like you can easily fit 15 to 18 going second cards, hand traps, staples, things like that, to really help going second and make it as good as you can. I understand in a going first format, that seems a bit weird to say, but it is possible. Like we said, this is strengths and weaknesses. So there are some things that we want to talk about on the downside. Consistency. Yeah, that's the thing that all of us Cyber Dragon players are like, why can't we fix this? Come on, Konami. Give us another starter. Give us a special summon starter. Give us a Link 1. Something to help our consistency. We've been begging for it. And we keep getting OTK tools. We already OTK. We need consistency now. It can be fragile at times too. Sometimes a well-timed hand trap, a lot of the time, some of the time, one hand trap can stop you. If you open awkwardly or they just use it at the right time, you might end on like Infinity Pass, or you might not be able to OTK and you're going to get just steamrolled on your following turn. Like, sometimes it happens, and there's really nothing you can do about it. The deck has consistency issues, and it can be fragile at times. And if you get into a grind game, this deck lacks recursion compared to most tier 1 strategies. The deck, I don't want to say it can't grind, because it can, but when you just compare it to other top decks of the format, it doesn't have that recursion factor nearly as good as a lot of those decks do. We have hers that can bring itself back. You can banish core from the graveyard for plays. Rev System's a revival card, but Cyberload Fusion puts stuff back in your deck to refuel it. But like, it's not the same as a lot of these other decks are. So jumping on into some rulings then, we kind of briefly mentioned Mega Fleet. You can set it under floodgates, under cards like that, and be able to go into Mega Fleet because they're still a Cyber Dragon monster while they're set. How about Fortress? You cannot do it with Fortress though, because Fortress specifically requires Cyber Dragon, and while they're set, they are not Cyber Dragon. They're only Cyber Dragon while they're face up on the field. Other times, with King Regulus too, especially, if King Regulus equips core, hers, next, or whatever, you cannot make Fortress because it is in continuous monster effect to become Cyber Dragon. So while it's in the equip zone, spell and trap zone, it is not Cyber Dragon. You cannot use Fortress. Additionally, you cannot make Mega Fleet with anything, even the original Cyber Dragon, while it's equipped to Regulus, because it is not a Cyber Dragon monster. That is a very literal word in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! So it is just a Cyber Dragon equipped spell. It is not a Cyber Dragon monster at the time. It is a spell, so you cannot go into Mega Fleet. However, if the original Cyber Dragon is equipped and you want to go into a Fortress, you can do that, because Fortress's requirement says nothing about being a monster. It says Cyber Dragon. Very similar to ABC, where ABC Buster Dragon can use a piece from the field if it's in the monster zone, or if it's equipped, because it's still on the field and it is still that piece. Similarly, that is how Fortress and Cyber Dragon work. Chimeratech Rampage Dragon can miss timing. How does Chimeratech Rampage Dragon miss timing? Chimeratech Rampage Dragon, for popping field spells, the summon of it must be the final thing to happen in whatever chain is resolving. Whether you use a fusion spell and nothing gets chained to it, it summons, it activates. If you use it, your opponent chains something, their card resolves, yours resolves, it's summoned, it pops something. Now say you have Cyberload Fusion set, your opponent chains Cosmic Cyclone, or uses Cosmic Cyclone, sorry, it's Chain Link 1, Cosmic Cyclone, they target your Cyberload Fusion. You chain Cyberload Fusion, you summon Rampage, their Cosmic banishes your Cyberload. Rampage missed its timing because it has to be the last thing to summon. Think of it this way. Your Fusion spell has to be Chain Link 1 for Rampage to not miss timing. Bell versus the Power Bond play. This is one I actually haven't had come up personally yet, but I'm sure at some point it may. Ghost Bell stops basically an effect that moves a card or whatever from your graveyard. If you use Chimera or Cyberdark Chimera, you can discard a card, search out Power Bond, and then if you fusion summon this turn once, you can banish from your graveyard as well. So the effect moves cards from your graveyard, right? No, it does not. You cannot Bell Chimera because Chimera does not move a card from your graveyard. It gives you the ability to later if you fusion summon. There's a difference there because no matter what, whether it resolves, whether it gets negated, whether anything happens, Chimera will never move a card from your graveyard when it activates its effect. So you cannot Bell it. Similarly, later then, say you play your Power Bond that you search, you can't Bell that either because Power Bond doesn't move it. It gains the ability from the already resolved effect of Chimera. And you can't Bell the Power Bond then. You can't Bell the Chimera, and Ghost Spell just does not stop this play, despite the fact that it does actually move them from the graveyard. I've seen a couple judges, however, get that wrong. Personally, like I said, I've not had it come up, but that is how it actually should be ruled, because again, Chimera will never move a card from the graveyard on its own. The effect, when it resolves, will never move a card from the graveyard. It's later, after it's already lingering, after it already resolved, that you have the ability to. And by then, they can't Bell a different card that doesn't say anything about it because it doesn't include the effect. Chimera has the effect that moves it from the graveyard, sort of. So that one's kind of a confusing one, but definitely with Power Bond being more popular, and I think that people should start to lean towards that route. I wanted to throw that ruling in there. Hers and DD Crow. If they DD Crow in chain to Hers' effect, you will get the search. If they DD Crow, say, in chain to Galaxy Soldier Pitch, Cyber Dragon Hers gets moved before its activation window timing, and it will not activate. Same with Bestials. Hers, while we're on it, does not target. I've seen people at regionals, Hers goes to the graveyard, they'll be like, Hers effect. And then their opponent's like, oh, what's your target? And then they'll be like, Core Engrave, and then they're like, okay, DD Crow Core. And then they don't resolve Hers. Hers doesn't target. If they DD Crow the Core in response to Hers, you can grab something else from your graveyard. You can grab Cyber Dragon from your deck. It does not target. Don't tell your opponents what you're going to grab. Speaking of non-targeting, Cybernetic Overflow does not target, and it has no cost. I've seen people do that too at regionals. Overflow. Oh, what are you popping, or how many are you banishing? Or they'll just flip and be like, overflow for 2, those 2, and then they'll chain one of them to it or such. There's no cost, there's no targeting. So you activate overflow and they're like, oh, well, what are you popping? It's like, do you have a response? Well, what are you targeting? No, you got to tell me if you're responding first or not, because if they respond with one of the 3 set cards, you can pop the other 2. You know, like, so don't give away free information to your opponent when you really don't need to. I've also seen people where, say, they normal summon Cyber Dragon Core, their opponent gammas it, because on summon it tries to search, and then they banish it from the graveyard and use the effect. You cannot do that. You can only use one effect per turn. Use being the keyword. If it said you can only activate this effect once per turn, it would be different. If it said you can only activate one of these effects, or you can only activate each of these effects once per turn, that'd be different. But you can only use one effect. Even if it's negated, you still used it. Final quick ruling that we're going to go through. Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon again. Turn 0. You're going first. If you summon Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, you can send 2 from the deck to the graveyard. It is not the same as the Mermail card, because that one's a mandatory one where it must be able to attack. Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, That's part B of the effect. You have to be able to do A in order to do B. So you have to be able to mill them to the graveyard to gain the attacks, but you do not have to be able to do B in order to do A. You can use it and it'll resolve as much as it can. You do not have to attack though. You can use it main phase 1 going second and skip your battle phase. You don't have to attack. So Rampage can be used turn 0, you're going first. You win the dice roll, you go first for whatever reason you summon Rampage. You can use the effect to send 2 from the deck to the graveyard. On that note, main phase 2, sure, you can use it in main phase 2 as well. I've been called out on both of those, being main phase 2 and turn 0. And at the end of the day, yes, you can use Rampage main phase 2. You can use Rampage in turn 0. And I know I said that was going to be the last one. Cyberload Fusion, the attack restriction, make sure you're paying attention to that, because once you use it and summon something, that is the only monster that can attack for the rest of that turn. And that's why you use Battle Phase into Cyber Twin if you're going to do that. And what was I going to say on that note? Yeah, I can't really think of it offhand. Maybe I'll come up with it again a little bit later in the video. 5 players, or actually 4. I only got 4 players. I wanted to give 4 players some shout outs. These are players who have done very, very well with the deck as of late. You see their names, whether they're topping, whether they're getting videos on YouTube. I want to throw Kyle Lewis into the ring. Asian Persuasion has him on his channel all the time. He does really well with Cyber Dragons, so make sure you can go check out some of his profiles on there. Montreal Norman, I think that's his name, right? Dat Boy Norman, he posts periodically in the Cyber Dragon group, been a little bit, whether he's taking his decks to regionals and getting his invite, whether he's just flexing his max rarity cards. Either way, he's very insightful, very knowledgeable on the deck, and he does actually go out and get results. So he's another guy that if you see him talking, you might want to listen. Like, he knows what he's talking about. He's a very good player. And then the other 2 I have already mentioned on the channel a little bit, Hakuna and Yassine. So James Jung and Yassine Sali are also probably 2 of the best Cyber Dragon players currently, and these are just some players I wanted to acknowledge and give shoutouts for. If you see them talking, again, might not be a bad idea to listen to them. So let's keep going. So something else I wanted to do is kind of show you guys what are some good channels as far as Cyber Dragon content, things like that. If we're going to be honest here, once our YouTube decides to work, I will, throw myself in this ring. However, if you're looking for Cyber Dragon stuff, like right here is probably one of the best channels you can follow, whether it's Cyber Dragon ratios, trap builds, Cyber Sprite, Cyber Branded, discussing machine duplication, working with Hakuna My Data and Yassine, to Clockwork Knight, to Pure. So many different like Cyber Dragon things. It really is what we focus on the channel here, and it's something that we take very seriously and try to bring you guys the best content that we can on. However, there are a few others I do want to give shout outs to. Hakuna My Data, James does a fantastic job with his Cyber Dragon content. He keeps giving us updated deck profiles where he commentates replays, theory, deck like talk, things like that. He also has great rogue list, tier list, deck profiles, high rated players, interviews, just all kinds of really, really good analytical information. That's the word I'm looking for, and he does a fantastic job with that. So make sure you do follow Hakuna My Data out for the meta relevant stuff, for the periodic Cyber Dragon updated deck list. He's a very, very strong player with the deck as well. Another person I do want to shout out, just mentioned both these guys, so I'm actually really proud to have been able to work with them on multiple videos in the past and be able to say that they're actually people I can just reach out to on Facebook and talk to about things. Yassine Sali, Yassine656 is his YouTube channel. He's another one. He's like the one who made the Cyber Trap build. He does all kinds of combo videos, deck profiles, and when we're a little spoiled, might have been a little bit. So hey, Yassine, if you're watching this, you haven't done a Cyber Dragon video in quite a while. Let's get a Cyber Dragon video for these guys, because otherwise you're making me look like a liar if you don't do it. I promise he does do Cyber Dragon stuff, and he has really interesting takes, and a lot of time when you watch like things, that's why I like suggesting the three of us, because we all have the similar goal, but at the end of the day we usually get there slightly different, so it's kind of a good variety of what you're getting and the like the insight you're getting, because we all have a little bit different opinions and approaches, and we might explain things differently, so you get different viewpoints. I think that's the best way to truly understand where the deck stands as a whole. A couple underrated channels now, if I can get to here. Let's see if we can find nope, that is not the, oh yes, that is the right one. Yes. Your Move TCG. Periodically I'll just throw Cyber Dragon in the search bar, look for channels, videos, watch for people who seem to know what they're talking about, where I like their lists, where they have good theory and everything like that. Your Move TCG, Keza does a really good job of that as well. And of course they have to have Cyber Dragon content, which he does. He has his local tournament list from 9 days ago, so go check him out by all means. Also doing other meta breakdowns, deck profiles, and things like that. I do want to give one more shout out. I know he watches these videos and he's probably not expecting this one. He's up and coming, and he does a really good job explaining what he's talking about, and he's not afraid to admit when he doesn't quite know something, or if he may be wrong, and he owns up to it and accepts it, which is probably the best thing you could do, especially when you're starting out. You don't want to sound too smart. You don't want to sound like you know everything. Nostalgic Nighthawk, he's really nice guy to talk to. Like I said, he explains things really well, and he's very open to criticism and very open to like compliments, and definitely would go check out his videos. He does different techs, going first combos, branded, tech theory, things like that, along with a few other videos scattered in here. But for the most part, he does do Cyber Dragon, even budget content, so definitely a good channel to go check out if you're looking for Cyber Dragon content. So again, kind of the big three, and then I wanted to give you guys two that maybe you haven't heard of, and you should go check them out. So Your Move TCG, Nostalgic Nighthawk, Yassine, and Hakuna. Go check out all those guys. I assume if you're here already, you know, you should be, but if you're not, hit that subscribe button, because actually an alarmingly high rate of you guys is not, and we have a lot of giveaways planned. Speaking of, we do have a Hail Sidra Field Center that I will pull out for a different segment of this video and show you guys, and if we can hit a certain goal I'll come up with in a little bit, I'm going to give that one away. It's number 37 out of 100 limited print run, the Hail Sidra Stay Classy Field Center, with Cyber Altanin and all the little Cyber Dragons being the octopus legs, kind of like Hail Hydra, you know, Marvel jokes. Okay, but that's it for this part of the video, guys, and make sure you watch the whole thing. So we've heard me talk for over half an hour now. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you're still here, we have seen our merchandise, we have seen our giveaway, we have heard all kinds of information. Unless you just skipped right to this part in case. Hi, how you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Anyway, we're going to finish this video off with some future support ideas, just in case Konami's watching. What could help Cyber Dragon out without just being completely unrealistic? I said it a few times, a link one searcher. It can be a link one, point down, I don't care where down, to the side, to the middle, to the other side, doesn't matter. It needs a Cyber Dragon monster, so even if your core gets impermed, you can still link off into it and continue playing. 600 attack, it does not need to be a dupe target. Personally, I don't think it needs to be a dupe target to be good or to be playable. This card's name is Cyber Dragon on the field or in the graveyard, and in the graveyard. When this card is special summoned, not link summoned, special summoned, you can add one Cyber Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. You can only activate this effect once per turn. So like I said, it's not a dupe target, it's not too OP, especially being a once per turn on the search effect. It turns all Cyber Dragons into one card starters, because you can normal Core, you can normal Naxter, you can normal Hearse, you can normal Fear. link it off, search a Cyber Spell or Trap. You can start your plays off any of your Cyber Dragons then. Most of your combos are still going to take 2 cards. It turns Core into a 1-card combo, Emergency into a 1-card combo, kind of, because then you already burnt through your Emergency. But it does give us a actual 1-card combo. It does make our 2-card combos way more consistent and just better overall. And being on Special Summon, then, it gives some more utility to Rev System, because let's be honest, Rev System right now, it's usually, oh, you can rev this back and then go into like an infinity play. Like, that's essentially it. This gives it a little more utility. Rev System can revive this back then, especially like people are gonna be like, well, you could just summon Core, search Rev System, link this, search, and next turn rev it back. No, don't do that, because Core could have just searched what you're gonna search the second time. Like, don't do that. Don't be that guy. But in a different instance, Rev System it back later, it gives you a little more recursion, a little more grind game. It gives you a little more follow-up. And like I said, it makes Rev System a little bit better. We've all heard of Dragon Link, right? The deck that Konami just loves to continue giving support to. What if we got a Dragon Link-esque spell? I'm thinking a quick play spell. Special summon 1 Cyber Dragon monster from your deck once per turn. So unlike Quick Launch, it actually is once per turn, because that card was just a mistake. It's a small consistency boost, and it also makes Herz's level 5 effect come up a little bit more. You can also not have to rely on Core being in your graveyard to summon Naxter out from your deck. It gives you a good way to summon out Naxter for follow-up, for extension. It gives you a good way to actually use both of Herz's effects, because you can summon it out just to get the search effect, or you can actually go for the level 5 effect. So a quick play spell summons Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. A counter trap. Overflow sometimes feels like it just takes a little too much and you don't want to see it in your hand. So what about a different trap option? If we're going to go with a different option, we need a negate. And so basically a counter trap, it can be an Omni negate, it could be a spell and trap negate, it can be just a monster negate. I don't really care. Just some type of negate and disruption. You still have to banish 1 Cyber Dragon from your hand, field, or graveyard, and then negate that effect and destroy it. I think that would be very good, because it's less intensive than Overflow. It still needs just 1, whereas Overflow can be 1+. But I don't know. I feel like it'd be a little bit better, because especially if you're doing one, having a negate versus just a pop, I'd rather have the negate. So it's not as resource heavy as Overflow. It fuels Cyberload Fusion, sorry. And like I said, it gives us a second negate option to go along with Infinity. It's not on my list to do here, so I really wouldn't have an effect or anything. But what if we got another rank 5 that can also rank up into an Infinity? Give you a double Infinity turn 1 play option, because you can only use Nova once per turn. What if we got another level 5? Just saying, or rank 5. Just saying, that might not be a bad idea either. What about one final card too? Those are the 3 main ones, the 3 I said, especially the Link one. The Link one, and then I thought of the quick play spell. I was like, that's actually a good idea without being too broken. So if we got that Link one and that quick play spell, I'd be ecstatic. I would be so happy. I think that the deck would instantly become a strong rogue / tier 2 deck. But yeah, so because that would fix our consistency issues. That's where our problems lie, Konami. Wait. What if we search Overload Fusion good? Not with that field spell that comes out, but with a good searcher. Like, summon this card, search Overload Fusion. That's what we really need. A Link 2, 2100 attack, so it can be revived. Takes 2 Cyber Dragon monsters to make. Cyber Dragon on field and graveyard. Points down, probably down corners, maybe down into one of the sides instead. So if you bring it back, it's still useful. But this card and cards it points to cannot be used as fusion material, so it is protection against Chimera attacks, because everybody thinks that's why the deck can't succeed. That's why the deck's not going to do good. That's why the deck will always be countered. Join one of our mirror tournaments once. Find out how to play around those cards, and then you will stop thinking that those are the end-all, be-all reason that we're not meta. Those 2 cards are not why we're not meta. There's a plethora of reasons. It is not those 2 cards. Learn how to play around them. It's not that hard. Like I said, Mirror Tournament actually starts in 3 days. Cyber Dragon Group, find the post, fill out the form, come join and win a Ghost Rare Cyber Dragon from me if you take first place, and potentially a playmat for free, by the way, for free. There is no entry cost. So they cannot be used as fusion material, and hey, you know what I just said? Overload searcher, what I just said? Discard one card, search overload fusion. This actually wouldn't, see, like Konami, this is the type of card they'd give us, and I'd be like, okay, makes overload fusion actually good again. It's Chimera Tech protection, so it's good. It's a good card. It's just not what the deck needs. It doesn't help the consistency issues. But this is what they would do. They would make us something like this, because then you search core, or you summon core, search rev system, link for the link one, search whatever the heck you want, emergency, then rev system back your core, link into this. You can discard one card. You could even search out hers, discard the hers, get your core back for next turn for follow up, if you would want. Get that overload fusion, and now you still have the link one and hers in that case, or you would still have the link one and core in your graveyard. Overload fusion, banish both of those, and then, you know, go off from there. However, I will say there are two options that I would actually do with this card. Core, rev system, link one, emergency. Then you go into the link two, because you would rev system back your core after going into the link one. Then the link two can discard one of your other random cards and get your overload fusion. Overload fusion, you go into your rampage, you mill hers and whatever you want. You mill hers and that, and then you can get a Cyber Dragon to your hand. Your emergency, you searched off the link one, grabs Naxter. Naxter's pitch Cyber Dragon, summon itself, bring back the Cyber Dragon. Now you have Rampage, Cyber Dragon, Naxter, and the link 2. So you can go into an Infinity playline from here. You could go into Seeger from here and have Seeger Rampage. There's a few different options. You can OTK, you can make Infinity, course one card Infinity. So it wouldn't be the worst card in the world. I just think that there's things, you know, help our consistency. Don't make core better. Don't make emergency better. Make us as a whole deck better. The deck already relies too much on seeing core. Don't make core better, because that doesn't help us see core more. We need another core. We need another starter. We need a link one. Give us something like that, and I would be super happy. But until next time, guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, come back to watch the different time-stamped areas. If you liked the video, let me know. If we left something out, let me know. And again, remember the giveaway, the merchandise right over there. Links down below, playmats on our Facebook page. And again, can we see the number? No, not really. Too blurry. Yeah, my camera sucks. Hail Sidra Field Center, stay classy. Number 37 out. 37 out of 100. Oh, there you can kind of see it. Number 37 out of 100. 3,000 subscribers. March 9th. That's over 2 months away. 300 a month. That's not that hard. We've done it before. We can do it again. Just stop watching without hitting that subscribe button. It takes like a lot of effort to move your mouse. Click, click, notification bell, click, comment down below. Holy, you're awesome. Can't say those words because kids channel, right? Just kidding. But anyway, guys, sorry for that. I will let you guys go. I'm going to go back to bed and edit this later, which does not matter to you. Take care and see you guys next time.